Pope Francis denounces the weapons industry as he makes a Christmas appeal for peace in the world. Associated Press. Pope Francis on Monday blasted the weapons industry and its instruments of death that fuel wars as he made a Christmas Day appeal for peace in the world and in particular between Israel and the Palestinians. Speaking from the Loggia of St. Peter's Basilica to the throngs of people below, Francis said he grieved the abominable attack of Hamas against southern Israel on October 7 and called for the release of hostages. Below are your comments. Denounce all you want, but without weapons, the weaker the individual person has no defense against the stronger or many. There will always be someone or some group wanting to impose their idea of right beliefs on others. As long as men need to dominate others to avoid looking at the abyss within, and people give power to the insane, this will go on. Love is the answer, although it is hard to find within ourselves with our big egos. Good luck to us all. This is so discouraging. I was convinced we would have world peace once we tore down all the statues and got rid of the panca mix boxes and syrup bottles. Sorry, Pope, but it is those who wish to steal what others have, impose their religious beliefs or political systems on others, or those who want to subjugate others that cause wars. Weapons are just the tools used to attack and defend people. It sounds so much like the governments pointing the blame to the weapons, not the deranged people who use them in a violent way. Next news. Lose a limb or risk death? Growing numbers among Gaza's thousands of war wounded face hard decisions. Associated Press. Please wait a moment. The 22-year-old had been hospitalized in Gaza for around a week, after her ankle was partially severed in an Israeli airstrike, when doctors told her she was suffering from blood poisoning. My whole life has changed, said Nabahin, speaking from her bed at the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in the central town of Deir al-Balah. Below are your comments. I have no sympathy or empathy for anyone in Gaza. Any population that allows terrorists to rule them gets exactly what they deserve. If the population does not have firearms, then they need to pick up shovels, picks, rocks, or even branches and start beating heads. It is totally their own fault. If the publishers of AP decided it was their primary role in this world was to help Palestinians, aside of course from becoming very wealthy, one would think they would recommend that Palestinians rid themselves of Hamas ASAP. Clearly, Israel isn't going to stop eradicating Hamas. And unfortunately, why don't they just contact the Hamas Ministry of Health? The doctors gave Shema Nabahin an impossible choice: lose your left leg or risk death. Does the author know the meaning of the word impossible? Next news. Hamas faces unprecedented battle against Israel, says Sinwar. The Telegraph. Hamas is facing an unprecedented battle with Israel, the terror group's leader in Gaza has said. in his first public message since the October 7 attacks. Below are your comments. Hamas faces unprecedented battle against Israel, says Sinwar to bait Israel into battle is an ente. Our prize that demands much planning and preparing for in the various aspects of assembling and deploying a military-industrial complex with the overall capacity to gain the. I'm still trying to figure out what their endgame is. They had to have known this is exactly what would happen after October. Since this article came out, Hamas has already rejected the idea that there will be peace. Hamas is like how this controlled by Iranian government, there won't be peace in the Middle East for as long as the radical Islamic Iranian government is holding the power and empowering the terrorist groups in that region. Unlike our own USA, Israel understands that when a country goes to war, it must go to war and not dally around like we did in every conflict since WW2. Hopefully we will eventually learn this and not waste dozens of thousands of American military lives, like we have in Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Next news. Indian Navy to deploy guided missile destroyer ships after strike off its coast. Reuters. India's Navy will deploy guided missile destroyer ships in the Arabian Sea after an Israel affiliate merchant vessel was struck off the Indian coast over the weekend, in an effort to maintain a deterrent presence, it said late on Monday. The Indian Navy was investigating the nature of the attack on the vessel, MV Chem Pluto, which docked in Mumbai on Monday, and initial reports pointed to a drone attack, the statement said. A spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry on Monday called a U.S. Below are your comments. Iran thinks it is blocking shipping, but the shipping that will be blocked will be their own. The sword will cut the other way. Culturally, India is very different from the US. Same with the US and Israel. And well, India and Israel. Protesters in the U.S. can say what they want and demand whatever. Israel does not care. They come from a different place in their hearts. And their motivation cannot be felt by U.S. resident. Thank you India for stepping up. Go India, go. Next news. Kidney patient, 10, separated from family in Gaza, fears he won't see them again. Reuters. Nassim Mohra, a 10-year-old kidney patient, fears he may never see his family again after Israeli foe RCES arrested his father while he was taking the boy to a hospital in southern Gaza for urgent dialysis treatment. A neighbor brought Nassim, who needs regular dialysis treatment, to Abu Yusuf al-Najjar Hospital in Rafah on Sunday after the boy was separated from his relatives amid continued heavy Israeli bombardment of Gaza. Below are your comments. This whole thing is a tragedy. With all the money, funds Palestine has received over the years, and this is what they have to show or it. they could have built them a flourishing society. How many buildings for the people could have been built with all that cement for the tunnels? With the shores along the Mediterranean Sea, cool. Same as those attending the music fair. Sad, but that's what his parents probably voted for. Next news. UN aid worker says little space left for displaced Gazans to go. Reuters. Many Palestinians in the Gaza Strip have followed Israeli army evacuation orders and sought safety in designated areas, only to find there is little space left in the densely populated enclave, a UN humanitarian team leader said on Monday. Gemma Connell, deployed in Gaza for several weeks now, described what she called a human chessboard, in which thousands of people, displaced many times already, are on the run again, and there is no guarantee a destination will be safe. The United States. Below are your comments. When you start a war, you don't get to dictate the end. You win, or you surrender. If you don't do either of those, then the total destruction of your land, people and culture is what follows. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you like it, please thumbs up.